So today you're going to work with me while I attempt to paint this little guy. I think he's super fun. We're going to use a bunch of different colors, which I will explain in a couple of minutes. So sit back, enjoy. This is not a stressful thing. If you need the outline, you can go to my website, which is drunkenatwendy.com. It is $1, but that helps me continue to make content for you. Okay, so today I wanted to add another bird to my little series of random birds wearing clothing. I I've done a bald eagle dressed like a lumberjack. I've done a flamingo in a turtleneck, a seagull in a sweater, and a duck in rain boots. So today we're going to do the tiniest little fighter. Um, and I've already showed you a picture, so you already know what it is. I don't know why I'm continuing to babble. But I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't done this painting before, so we're just going to play and see what happens. I'm going back to my Dr. P.H. Martin Radiant Liquid Watercolors because I just want this to be really, really, really bright. We're going to see what happens. The palette is a little dirty because I have been using tube paints. But, that happens. So I have picked Turquoise Blue. I'm going to do Moss Rose. Make sure you shake these up before you use them. Just because if you can see, there's a lot of like sediment there in the bottom, and it just helps distribute the color. Forewarning though, these paints are not super light fast, so if you put them in a sunny window, they will fade out. That was Moss Rose. That's the other color. I'm gonna use Grass Green to do all of our green. And if this isn't the real colors of a hummingbird, don't come at me. Um, it's artistic license, and I'm just going to do what feels right and what feels fun, and we'll move on from there. There's a couple other colors I haven't put on my palette yet because I'm not sure if I'm going to use them. One is Daniel Smith's Paynes Gray because I don't have a liquid watercolor for the Paynes Gray. And my old Paynes Gray really started to smell bad, so we had to get rid of it. I'm thinking I'm going to use the Paynes Gray for the dark, like the helmet and the eyes and our axe here. But if I can mix one that I like, we'll use that instead. And then I have this Japanese calligraphy watercolor that just comes in this little pan, and it is a gold color, which I really enjoy. So we're going to see if we use that. We may not. I don't know, but it's here just in case. And rather than stop in the middle and go get something, I put down the 5 colors that I kind of want to use, and I'm trying to keep it a limited palette to only 5 colors to help with cohesion. That word works. To help with cohesion to make it look a little bit more exciting. And then, as always, there's some white gouache. I use the Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. Big fan of this stuff. Let me show you this real quick. Mine gets a little crusty because I forget to put the lid on it. Just put water in it; it'll reconstitute. You don't have to throw out your uh, jar because you forgot to put your lid on it, like I do at least once a week. I All right, and then the next thing is brushes. Eh, we're gonna use what brushes I have. It's I have a little, a medium, and a big, and we're gonna probably just use these 3 brushes. If I use anything else, I'll let you know. They're all round brushes. 2 are Princeton, so they're really good brushes, and 1 is a student brush that I use when I teach classes because it was really cheap to buy a whole bunch of these. Yeah. Um. So and you might want to have a black pen and a black or and a white gel pen sitting around in case you want to use those for fine details later. It Whatever makes you happy. I didn't tape this down. Um because I didn't want clean edges for this one. I kind of just want it to be messy. And I would lose the tops of his horns if I had taped it down. And I didn't want to lose his horns because I think they're really fun. Okay, I think that was a lot of rambling. Sorry. I Let's start. Let's just see what happens. I'm going to grab my medium brush and we're going to do a little bit wet on wet for these wings out here. And then we can come in and define them a little, and we'll do a little green wet on wet for the center of our his belly. We'll call it his belly. And then yeah, so let's start with the wings and let's just move on, and you get to see kind of how my painting process works because I am all over the place. So we got water that is clean. I actually cleaned it today. Yay. I'm tapping it on my paper towel and I'm going in under the edge of where the wing was because that's going to be green and I don't want that to touch it yet. I'm going to take the brush and just pull it out to do these feathers, okay? And it's okay if it's not perfect. It's fine. So we're going to pick up some moss rose because these are kind of pink underneath. Even if they're not, it's way more fun to have them be pink underneath. And we're going to just start dropping this color in right along the edge. Oh, that's so pretty. And it's really, really bright, but that's okay. And then we're going to kind of just do these wings. I'm just kind of pushing down into the water, pulling this color out, and it'll dry less bright. And this is just the first pass. We'll add details later. This is just getting some color down, and we'll define these wings in a little bit. And I don't know why I always do this. You really should start on the left side and move to the right, especially if you are right-handed. If you are left-handed, this makes perfect sense because your hand won't be in the paint. But I apparently can never remember that, and I never do it right. No, now I'm going to clean my brush, and I'm going to get some more clean water, and I'm going to turn the paper because I did this wrong. And I'm going to put down the water for these wings, letting them separate out a bit. Again, we're just letting the water do a lot of the work for us right now. And the water's a little pink now, which is great. I love when the water has a little bit of a tint to it because then I can see where I put it. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I like to know where it went. All right, so then we're going to get a little bit of this moss rose. And on this side, I'm going to start at the tip of the wing and take it down. You can just see it like going everywhere, which is lovely. And I'm going to bring it down in the centers of all these wings. And we'll see which side we like better. And if we ever do it again, we'll know. I think I like that side better. But that's okay. I can always fix it. And that's what bleed proof white is for. I'm just kind of defining the ends of these feathers just to make sure. And yeah, they're really bright pink. I love it. But I love pink. Okay, so then let's do the body. And the body, so with these hummingbirds, they're kind of, again, I guess it really doesn't matter. You can paint them whatever color you want, but they're kind of green on the sides and get white in the center. And so I put a few little lines of where they're white in the center. So I'm going to put water down, and it's pink. That's okay because you can see it. And it won't really dry that pink anyway. So I'm not touching what I did before. I think of Arrested Development, think of no touching. And I'm spinning it around to the other side so I can do the same over there. And again, we're doing some wet on wet, and we're going to take it all the way and do all of the bottom part down here. Okay, and then we're going to get the green. So this is a nice bright green. I like it a lot. So I'm going to start with it. I might add some turquoise to it in a little bit. We're going to see. So now I'm going to go right down along the lines where I did that while the water is still wet. And again, down through here while it's still wet. Hey, I remember to do it correctly this time. Okay. So then you kind of want to help it. So I'm getting some water. And with horizontal strokes, I'm just going to pull it towards the center a little. And then pull it towards the center a little. And I'm leaving the center fairly light, and that's okay. Even leaving some white spots, which is also fine. It's fun. I'm going to put a little bit more of this green on these sides here. Because as you look at him, he's going to be a little darker on, there's going to be a little bit more green on the left side versus the right side because he's shifted to the side a little. You can just kind of go up a little into where those neck feathers would be. And just shoopy, shoopy, shoopy. And you can see here, I touched it a little, so it's going to blend in. I'm okay with that. Um, I prefer that than all this white that's showing. That's bugging me. I get picky. All right. So we're just kind of putting down the light washes, or in this case, super bright washes, but it's okay because we can pull up color, which let's do that now with this wing. I think we went a little too heavy-handed, we being me. So you want a clean brush. You want to dip it on your paper towel. And then using the brush, you can pull up the paint. I realize you can't see this super well, but a lot of the paint is coming up. And you want to make sure the brush is clean. So you have to keep dipping it in the water, but you also want it dry because that makes it a thirsty brush. So I'm doing that. And then I'm going to do another cheat trick that I have and take a paper towel. I already have this one balled up because I use it for a lot of things. And then I'm going to lightly press it down to pull up some color. You can see I've pulled up a bunch of color. It may not look like it on the video, but we've really lightened this section up a little bit so we can do a little bit more defining later because I went a little overboard. And that's okay. It's okay. Don't get upset. Just figure out what to do. So then we're going to put some more water. And I'm doing it in the wing shape, the feather shape. And while that's wet, we're going to pull, 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 pull. Okay, that's better. That side was just too dark. Now I'm getting some blooms here. It's okay. We're getting a little pink into the belly of the bird. Kind of like it. So I'm going to leave it. Not going to stress out about it. All right. So let's move on. Let's do the throat because I guess we're calling this a ruby throated hummingbird. I'm going to grab a little of the blue and then a little of the moss rose, and I get a gorgeous purple. And I'm just going to start putting in oh, you're going to need some water. That was way too dry of a brush. And what this is to put in the shadows. So I'm going to put that pink over top of this, but I want to have a little I want him to have some shadow over here. And if you go down too far and it's still wet, it'll bloom. It's okay. See how fun these are? It's totally fine. So I want this part to be lighter pink, so I'm not putting it down, the purple down. We're just doing this shadow real quick, and we're making sure, and since the painting isn't taped down, you can just move it around a lot. If you're having issues with texture, just get some more water on your brush and just pull it around till it starts doing what you want it to do. And I want little feathers to go down into the neck. I am just easily amused. I am using my smaller brush, and we're going to go ahead and I'm going to do the tail feathers because they look like they've already dried enough. So with the tail feathers, I've brought this because you don't want to just add a color and then never use it again. So I'm going to use the green and get a little bit of the blue and make almost like an emerald green, which I think is fun, and we'll use that for some of the darker colors. So I'm using the 6 now, and what I'm going to do is I don't have a lot of water in the brush, and I am trying to remember to go left to right. I am going to take the paintbrush, push it down, and pull it up. And then I'm going to do the next petal or leaf that way, tail feather. And you have these little lines in between. That's okay. It adds some interest. Push down, pull up. And there you have your little tail feathers. So I'd like to darken him just a little right around where the tail touches. So I use that color to darken him, and then I'm going to get some water. And I'm spreading it around. And then I'm taking my towel while it's nice and wet and going, "Pacha," and I took it all off. That was not how that was supposed to work, but now it should be a little damp. So now it should spread the way that I was hoping it would. So let's take a little bit more of this dark green that we've mixed with the blue and add a little bit more right in here on just one side of him, make him a little darker on one side. Okay, and then let's do, I'm going to call these shoulders. I know they're not shoulders, but let's do his shoulders. And I went over a little, so it's going into that, and that's perfect. So this edge actually goes all the way up because it's what's kind of holding the wings together. And once again, I did left and not right. Or right instead of left. And we're going to go real light all the way up the edge. to give him just a little bit of dimension in those wings. And because this pink is still a little wet, the green is coming in and it's acting as a nice shadow where we didn't have to do a lot of work for it, which I really enjoy. So since that green is spreading nicely as a nice shadow, I'm switching back to my smaller brush. I'm getting paint on it, but then I'm wiping it off on the palette and wiping it off on my paper towel. And I'm just going to do little lines for these wings. I'm using really light pressure to get the fine lines for this wing texture that I'm going for. And I'm going to come over here. I'm going to turn the paper because once again, I didn't do that right. I'm going to bring these wings in. It's okay if it looks a little different on each side because, well, they are a little different on each side. But that helps give us the definition of those wings that we were looking for. I'm going to put a little shadow right in here and maybe darken this up. And a little bit more shadow in here. So one real fun thing about paint is red and green are complementary colors. So red and or pink and green would be complementary colors. So it's a great way to put a shadow in and have it look more cohesive. Instead of introducing even more colors, you can just use the green from here to provide the shadows. The same works the other way too. We can use the pink to add shadows into the green if we wanted to. Like at the bottom of each feather or in all over these down here because they're really hidden in the shadow. And then we'll do that again over here. It's kind of lightly putting this green on at the bottoms of the feathers. Okay, I think he looks super cute. I think he needs to be darker right through here. Or maybe we just need, let's do another layer of tail feathers mixed with that green and blue, maybe even a little bit of this purple. Just get some green, mix it in with that purple. And I am using the smaller brush now. But I absolutely need some water. So getting some water. Liquid paints, I haven't done it for a while, and sometimes your standbys don't work anymore, or your tricks don't work when it's a different kind of watercolor paint. So this reacts differently than tube paint or pan paint, and you just have to experiment and adjust. I'm kind of outlining edges of some tail feathers here and giving us a little bit more dark dimension on that tail. And it's making me very, very happy. Okay. Now I'm going to do my very, very technical test. That's dry enough to work with. So I'm going to stick with the little brush because I've been making a bit of a mess. And I'm going to go over the top of the head and around the cheek in the green, and then I'm going to put the pink right in here. And we're going to see what happens. So I'm doing the straight green because I have the blue in the shadow. And I do have my smaller brush, but I'm going to try to go with the form of the bird to make sure that we are trying to maintain feather texture. Okay, I'm rinsing the brush to get a little bit of the color off because I wanted this part to be lighter anyway. And then I'm going around the eye. I'm leaving a little bit of white because we're going to go in and add details there. But I really wanted this to be shadowed, and I think we've done a good job of that. We need to add a little bit more shadow here where the wing comes forward, and then more shadow here. So a lot of times when you add in the darks, you'll see where you need to go darker. Hoping I didn't pull this out of frame. And I want more shadow here where this side's in shadow, this side's not, because the body is in front of this side and the body isn't in front of the other side. Makes any sense? Okay, so I like that. And now we're going to take some pink and brighten up. I guess he's a ruby-throated hummingbird. I don't know. He's got a battle axe. He's a badass hummingbird. I'm going to just put this on. And I'm coming around here just a little up over his shoulder and bringing it down. And I'm not worrying about the edges. I want them to be a little different. I don't want them to be perfect because I want it to look like feathers. So darn cute. Okay, so after mixing the colors, I haven't been able to get a decent gray. So we're just gonna go ahead and use the Paynes Gray. You also can use Paynes Gray to do your shadows if you want. Paynes Gray works really well for shadows. It just operates a little differently than the liquid paints. So we just want to remember and treat it just a little bit differently. Okay. So I'm getting my bigger brush, not my big one, but my medium sized one. And I'm going to pull this out and really lighten it up because I don't want this to be a super dark gray. And I'm going to start with the helmet. So I'm going to just do a nice light wash of this watered down Paynes Gray. Now the center of the helmet, I'm going to leave for now. But I'm going to do these two little pieces that are on the horns on each side. And our little spiky top part. We also need to work on this axe. We're going to axe it up. I'm going real light over there because I want that to look like a really bright, shiny, sharp edge. So I put the color down and then I'm going to pull it up a little. And every paper is different. So this is like a real cotton rag paper that I like to do for cards and stuff. But it doesn't always react the way other papers do. So it's, again, kind of a hit or miss situation. So we're going to fill in this axe. We're going to lightly do the edge over here, but this side you're not going to see as well. It's not going to be as sharp. Okay. We are waiting for this section to dry. That's why we're not going in there right now. Now, I have decided that he has bone horns, so they're not metal, but they do need color. So we're going to take the light Paynes Gray, put it in there on our shadow side, which I have decided is the left, but there will be some underneath over here too. And I'm rinsing my brush, getting rid of all that paint on there, and I'm going to go in, spread this out, and spread that out. We always go back in and add more dark. Now, for brown. Brown is dark orange. And I don't really have any colors that make orange. So what I'm probably going to, I'm going to take some of this Paynes Gray. I'm going to mix it with the moss rose, and I get a very, very bright kind of purpley color. Then I'm going to grab a little bit of the green, mix that in. And because of the way the green is pigmented, it turned brown. Um, Sometimes it just works. I always recommend just playing with the colors. And if you can't mix the color that you want, then by all means get another one. But I wanted the stick that he sits on to be brown. So it's going to be brown. And this is a little fiddly, so I'm going to actually switch to my smaller brush and just get some more color on it. And if you get it on these toes, it's okay. We're going to come in and darken up the toes. Now, again, to make sure it has form, you want it to be darker on one side, preferably the bottom. So I'm making the bottom a little darker, and then I'm making where it, again, terminology is not my favorite thing, where the axe handle enters the axe, I want that a little darker. And then as this dries, we can add in little teeny tiny lines if we want. But for now, I think it's good. So let's go back in and darken up our helmet just a little bit. So we're going to get the Paynes Gray, but we're not going to lighten it up as much. And we're going to do a quick test. Test. All right. The eye is dry around it, so we're going to go ahead while I have it and do our beak. And I am not against using a pen. I will probably come back in and add certain details with a pen because I want to. So I want to lose the point on that. Getting a little bit more because I think that's too light. I'm making sure to leave that highlight though for the eye. But if you forget, it's okay. I will just use the Bleed Proof White or a gel pen and not worry about it. Right. I'm being really fiddly with this beak. All right, so let's darken up our helmet just a little bit. And then I think we're going to add the gold accents because it's fun. All right, so we want these to be a little shadowy and dark on one side, lighter in the middle. So put it on there, and then I want this darker. I don't want you darker on this side too. There we go. And a little on one side, add our dimension. And let's do these toes because our paint has dried down there to do the toes. So I'm basically, here, you can see it on this. I'm going to go like this. Boop, boop, bloop, to do the toes. Closer together than that. But that's basically what I'm going to do with my, this looks like it's a 2. So with my 2, if you want an even smaller brush, get a smaller brush. I'm going to start at the top and pull down and do a toe. Then I'm going to do the next toe and then the third toe. Then I'm going to do that over here too. And when that dries, we can darken underneath it a little bit if we want. We don't want to lose anything. My eye is not as dark as I wanted it, so we're going to just keep adding some more. Make sure we leave the highlight. And actually, I'm just putting in the round shape of the eye right now instead of all of the other stuff. Okay? Let's get some shiny gold. The shiny gold is in a pan. Sometimes you want to spritz it. I'm going to, that makes a huge mess, so I was trying to be careful. So this is like calligraphy gold. I don't know. I found it on Amazon. If I can find a link, I'll put it in the description. It is fantastic. I use it all the time. I think it was very, very cheap, and I've been able to use this pan forever. So let's just put a little bit of the gold around the band here. And we'll come back in and put those dots in. And over the top. And let's separate these out with little gold stripes. It's super fun. I don't know why this cracks me up so much. Okay, so then let's add, because again, you don't want to throw a color in and then not use it anywhere else. Let's put some little gold detailing on our axe. We can like kind of do like a filigree. I know that's not a filigree. Little lines like it's a design in the metal. How about that? And it's kind of dry brushing, so you're getting that texture, which is perfect. And this is still pretty wet. I don't think I want to do this, but I'm going to put just a tiny little bit of gold right around here and right around this eye because I like it. And then I'm going to give him little gold feathers on his chest. And some little gold highlights in his wings. See, this is why you don't give me gold. I get too excited and I have way too much fun with it. But it's going to give it such a fun shimmer that I don't care. We won't do as much over here, but just this little touch of gold. I'm going to kind of pull it all together, maybe even a little bit on his handle. Like it's got gold ties around it, like gold strings. It makes me so happy. All right. So one last thing, because I don't like how white it is around those toes, is I'm just going to get a little bit of the brown that I created and a small brush, and I'm just going in and kind of filling that in between. Those toes. And if you lose the feet, we'll just put them in again. But this way, you've got it. So there you go. This is your teeny tiny hummingbird. He is ready to fly into battle. He's fantastic. I'm going to take this pen and just define that there's two sections of this beak, because that makes me happy. And there you have it. I think it's super fun. I hope you guys enjoyed painting with me, and we'll see you next time. Bye.